The name of George Stinney Jr. will go down in the annals of African history and that of the black race at large. You want to know why? Come closer. You see, in March of 1944, the house of Mr. and Mrs. Stinney in Alcalá, South Carolina was raided for the 14-year-old George Stinney Jr. Although his parents were not home, little George and his elder brother Johnny were handcuffed and whisked away while their little sister hid behind the hen house in the backyard. The reason for their arrest was unimaginable because two young white girls were found to be beaten, gruesomely murdered, and dumped into a waterlogged ditch. And unfortunately, George and his little sister, who were obviously black, were said to be the last people to see these young white girls alive. His older brother was, however, released, and all attention was turned to the young George Stinney Jr. as the main culprit, with no evidence other than the fact that he was the last to see the white girls alive. He was then questioned in a small room, alone, without his parents and without no legal representation. After the questioning, police claimed the boy confessed to killing Betty June Pinnicker, who was 11, and Mary Emma Thames, who was 8 at the time, admitting he wanted to have sex with Betty. This alleged confession was the smoking gun needed to rush young George Stinney Jr. to trial. After a 2-hour trial and a 10-minute jury deliberation, young Stinney was convicted of murder on April 24, 1944 and sentenced to death by electrocution. His lawyer, a local political figure, chose not to appeal this sentence, and it is noteworthy that at the time, 14 years was the age of criminal responsibility. It is so disheartening that it took just 10 minutes to convict 14-year-old George Stinney Jr. and it took 70 years after his execution to exonerate him. However, Stinney's case is not the only one to be criminally handled by the American police, all in the name of looking for a scapegoat and closing a case on time. I will leave a link in the description below to the case of the Central Park 5 in New York City. Please do like, share, and subscribe to this channel because it shows us that you care about our content. I am Adedayo Odofin, representing African Roots. I don't waka.